Hello, I'm Philip Stoughton. I'm at SMTAi in Chicago on the SCOOPstudio, and I'm joined by Mari Cole from IBM and Michael Ford from Aegis to discuss supply chain. We talk a lot about Industry 4.0, smart factory initiatives, that whole use of IoT in the factory, but it goes a long way beyond that, doesn't it? It's important to have a strategy that connects all the way up and down the supply chain to multiple users. I know you've been talking about that here. What are IBM doing in that area at the moment?
So IBM has our Watson Cognitive Supply Chain Insights offering now that we're starting to work with clients and see how we can help them to achieve real visibility from end to end of the supply chain. So when I talk about the supply chain from a systems perspective as an IBM internal customer to this offering, I'm talking about all the way from our component and material supplier into our contract manufacturer, onto our box system assembly, and out to our client. So we need to have a lot of data and monitor inventory, demand, look for disruptions, and really get a better way to manage without relying on a lot of manual intervention, so we can manage changes and react quickly, or even better, work proactively.
Yeah. And Michael, from your point of view at Aegis, you have a very well-known suite of software within the factory, but that also goes beyond that. But it also handles material management as a key part of it. What are the developments there, and what are the demands there?
The real driving force at the moment to make improvements are, as you said, the Industry 4.0, because such a high range of different products and variants to be made. People tend to have a lot higher levels of stock than they need. And as soon as they have the high level of stock, it becomes unmanageable. So what we provide as part of our standard software suite is to be able to have the complete visibility of where materials are used, if any materials are lost, or we have spoilage, whatever, so that we can maintain an accurate inventory. So when it comes to the time of planning, then you know exactly what you can and cannot do. And planning decisions need to be made within minutes rather than hours or days, at the moment with Industry 4.0. And so it's absolutely essential to have that knowledge of material.
Okay, and that's the traceability element. Are you working with any form of artificial intelligence, any form of learning process to improve those inventory turns, to change the way stock is used?
Yeah, absolutely. Before we start with artificial intelligence, we need some normal intelligence on the equation, because at the moment, if you consider a material supplier, they are designing their components in the digital world these days, whereas maybe a few years ago it was all analog drawings and pictures. And yet downstream we still see these analog drawing and pictures. It's ridiculous. Why don't we have access to the digital designs of components that are available in a secure format that can enable us to have secure transactions of materials into the factory? Now, why is that important for the factory? It's because we want to be able to get that data without any cost. We don't want to have to do the labeling. We don't want to have to be trying to reverse engineer what the materials are so that production can be prepared. But this digital link hasn't happened yet.
Right. So driving back to the original design data is absolutely key. Mari, when I listen to you talking about what you're doing on the cognitive side, one of the terms that comes to mind is digital twin. And I know I've already talked to some contract manufacturers that are talking about digital twins of their manufacturing lines. But what about digital twins of supply chain, so you can consider what if scenarios if there are earthquakes or something horrendous happens?
I don't know that I would say we're looking at a digital twin in the true definition, but certainly we are looking at supply chain disruptions and bringing in artificial intelligence and analytics to be able to monitor and predict and react better to disruptions. In the midst of hurricane season, it's very interesting to look at Watson's supply chain risk insights, where through the Weather Channel, that's part of the IBM family, now we have access to an amazing amount of weather data. We monitor social media so that we can see, as social media starts to pick up on where a hurricane is going to land. Is there going to be flooding? Are there going to be power outages? Who's responding to it? And you match that with your supply chain network, And you're really able to start to anticipate much better than in the past if you have particular supplier locations at risk because of these weather events. And then the offering also helps you bring together the right experts to decide how to react and put a plan in place so that you can really recover from these devastating incidents much more quickly.
Yeah, and what I've found really fascinating generally when I've watched Watson projects is you've done quite a lot of projects with Watson where you've run parallel. I've seen medical projects, all kinds of projects where you've run parallel analysis using professionals and the older methods. Have you done that in supply chain?
I would say so. As the applications have been developed, certainly we have our old ways of doing business still in place while we run pilot projects and compare how much, first the accuracy of what we are implementing as new, and then how much we're benefiting from the new solutions.
Yeah, from that predictive side. Michael, when you look at it from a holistic point of view, you've been involved in this industry 4.0 debate since there was one. Do you think that artificial intelligence, that kind of brain behind the system, is one of the key elements that's been missing in the whole ecosystem in the supply chain?
Yeah, I do. It's amazing how quickly now the software technology is going on. And, as things have become faster, like machines have become faster, demand has become faster, things have been more volatile, including things like the weather and global situation, etc. We need to all be thinking a lot faster than we ever have done before. But a human has a natural limitation, but we need these humans to start to make decisions faster. So what do? Do we bring information to them, but in what form? What form can they digest in order to make their decisions faster? Or do we go ultimately to allow an artificial intelligence to start to make those decisions? For example, do they see all of these inputs we were talking about and decide the factory schedule for the day, knowing exactly the kind of issues and problems that manufacturing may have, loss of productivity, versus the kind of flexibility question, but it will figure all of that out and then make visible all of that activity through the supply chain, and so then that can be optimized by a similar process. It's amazing to think actually of what's going to come up in the next couple of years.
But I would add to that there is always the importance of the intangible that the human brings to it. So, we do like to look at it as Watson, cognitive, the AI, but plus the human factor, the human intervention, because that's really where we get the most benefit using our knowledge, our background from many years of experience, but adding in the much quicker processing, the access to so much data, the analytics that can be performed up, in the cloud.
Yeah, and it's managing huge amounts of data that we can't manage as humans. And you talk about managing data at speed. That's going to be one of the key changes. I see it. I go to CES every year. I look at all this new technology, and I'm constantly impressed at what they're developing. But they're all chasing one thing, and that's to make a computer as smart as we are. So, go us. We're obviously very impressive and challenging. And I think what we're moving into, rather than a AI or an artificial intelligence age, is much more of an augmented age where we can use these tools like VR, mixed reality, AI to actually make us do our jobs better and manage that huge amount of data. Guys, thanks very much for stopping by to talk to me. Great insight, and enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you.
Thank you.